Good morning, slow life traders. How y'all doing this morning? I got a good topic for you today. How do you get good at trading? Wow. Well, I'm a guy that believes in practice, okay? And if you do good practice, then when it comes time to get into the game, you'll have at least better results in the real game than you would have if you didn't have no practice. And then as you get into the game and get more experience in the game, you're gonna get better, okay? So this is why I'm a believer in paper trading first. And let me just give you an example. When I was a kid and learning how to ride a bicycle, they recommend that you put training wheels on the bike, okay? Now, this is to keep you from falling and hurting yourself, okay? When I first started, I didn't use training wheels, and I learned how to ride the bike pretty much the first time. But the problem is, I learned how to ride, I learned how to go real fast, I learned how to turn. I did all that probably within a week or two, okay? That was pretty cool. But you know what I didn't learn how to do? I didn't learn how to stop, okay? Well, it's the same thing in the market. You can get in this market and you can learn how to win. Because again, these strategies that I put out there, guys, they win, okay? So you could really learn how to win, but the problem is, you don't really learn how to get out. And how to get out within these ranges, especially when it starts to go bad, okay? For instance, let's say you're going down a hill on a bicycle and you haven't learned how to stop and everything yet, right? But this is what I used to do. I learned how to get on the bike and I learned how to ride and I learned how to ride fast, but I didn't know how to stop. So what I would do is just kind of keep going until I would slow down, hit bumps, hit curves, go over big bumps to slow the car down, to slow the bike down. And then I would just fall over in some grass. Because as a kid, when you fall over, it don't hurt that bad. But guess what? It don't have to hurt at all if I would have got the training wheels and learn how to stop first on the training wheel, okay? But I didn't do that. So sometimes you get a little skin up knee and a little skin up arm and all that kind of stuff. But I was a boy, and I was a boy in the 70s. So we were used to getting hurt, okay? That was part of the game. Nowadays, if kids did that, parents would go sick. So they get them a helmet, they get them the knee pads and elbow pads and gloves and training wheels and all that. Here's another thing they did. They started them out on a smaller bike. I didn't start on a smaller bike. When I was riding, I learned how to ride on a friend's bike. Guess what? I couldn't even sit on the seat, so I had to stay standing up in front of the seat. Okay? Well, that's the way I learned how to trade. The wrong way. When you learn how to do something the wrong way, you can get hurt in the beginning. And it's harder to stay in the game if you get hurt too bad. But if you do it the right way, the way they train you to do it, you can stay in the game longer. Don't mean you won't get hurt. You still can get hurt. You still can fall with training wheels. But the chances of you getting hurt is a whole lot less, okay? Well, it's the same way in the market. Just because you start out paper trading and then you get into real trading, don't mean that you can't have a big loss. You can have a big loss, okay? But the chances of that happening gets to be a whole lot less. Here's the other thing. With trading, you have to first learn how to get in these trades. First, you learn how to put the trade on, okay? And how to structure the trade. And then you learn how to execute. Well, execute trade means you have to push the button to send it out into the market. Now, just because you send it out into the market, it doesn't mean that the order is filled. It doesn't mean that you're actually in the trade yet. You have to get it filled. And these are for the beginners. A lot of people know this. Once it gets filled, then you're in the trade, okay? You have to get used to doing that first. And then, as time goes by, you got to learn how to get out of these trades. And here's the hard part. When the market is going smooth, it's easy to get out of these trades. You put in your GTC and you get out. But when the market gets turbulent, that's when it's hard to get out. And I said this before and I'm gonna say it again. You can always get out of a trade, okay? I don't care what the market is doing. You can always get out of a trade for the most part. 99%, I'm gonna say, at least 98%. The hard part is getting out at the price you want to get out at. When the market is moving and you're trying to get out, sometimes you have to pay more than what you're willing to pay to get out of the trade. But if you get out of the trade and save your account and let's say for instance you want to get out at $3, okay, because you got a $3 loss, for instance. You may not get out at $3. You may get out at $3.25. It's more than what you wanted to pay. But if it goes to $5 or $4, you're glad you got out at $3.25, okay? So that's kind of the way you have to look at it. That's why I give a range. You don't want to lose no more than 300 to 500 on one of these trades, okay? It seemed like a lot to lose, but the way we win, it can be made up. Now, what's hard to make up is if you lose more than that. And sometimes you can have a meltdown. Here's the key. If you have a meltdown, which means you lose more than 500 on one of these trades, don't let that meltdown go over 1,000, okay? Please don't. Don't let it go over 1,000, because even with 1,000 on each one of these trades, you can make it back. It's hard to make it back. You can, but it's gonna take a whole lot longer if you go over 1,000. With 1,000, you can make it back in a month, okay? You may not have much of a profit, or may not have no profit by the end of the month, but you can make it back in a month, okay? But try not to have a meltdown. But if you do have a meltdown, let that be your max meltdown. Now, let me give you another example. When I first started driving a car, we had this big old empty field behind our house, so we would practice driving in this field. And I learned how to drive when I was 9 years old, okay? Because of this field, we could drive without being on the street. But my dad actually had me to teach my older sisters how to drive, okay? Well, when you first start driving, and I'm talking about an automatic, if it's a standard, it's harder than this. When you first start driving, this is what my dad told me. He said, adjust your mirrors, your driver's side mirror, your passenger side mirror, and your rear view mirror in the middle, okay? Do all this before you start. Adjust your seat. Get it to the point where you can hit the brake pedal and the gas pedal comfortably. Well, as a 9-year-old, you couldn't do that, so you did the best you could. But he said, now, as you're driving, you have to look at all 3 mirrors, and you have to be looking at the front windshield while you're driving. And you kind of got to do it all at the same time. Can't do that, so you have to glance and look and all that kind of stuff, right? And then you have to not drive with 2 feet. When I first started driving, I drove with 2 feet. You can't drive with 2 feet. You have to drive with 1. Okay, you got to drive with your foot on the gas pedal and ready to switch it over to the brake. Okay, so this is what you have to do. You have to put the car in gear, mash the accelerator, look through the windshield, make sure it's clear. Look on each side, make sure that's clear. Look in the rearview mirror, make sure that's clear. All these things while you're driving simultaneously, and you have to constantly keep doing it all the time. That seems a little overwhelming, okay? But then as the time go by, you learn how to do all these things, eat a hamburger and have a drink and talk on the phone all at the same time. Now, you shouldn't be talking on the phone, but it's a speakerphone, so that makes it a little bit easier. So now I can drive with a knee, eat a hamburger, or in Mexico, eat a taco, and have a drink, a Coke, with a straw or without the straw, and talk to somebody on the phone or in the passenger seat or back seat or wherever they are in the car, all at the same time. What's the point of this, Robert? What I'm telling you is, with time, with practice. And what is practice? Practice is when you're doing something over and over and over again. Well, with trading, when you put these trades on and they win, you get to do that a lot, okay? Because these trades win a lot. You're gonna get to do that a whole lot. What you don't get to do is practicing exiting in a turbulent time. That's the hard part to practice, okay? It's hard to practice getting out at these losses. So in order to do this, you just have to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined to get out of these trades at these losses. it's hard to see your account go down. But if you don't learn to do this, and if you're not disciplined, you're going to see your account go down more than what you want to. So learn how to do this. Start with paper, and I'm telling you, it can be good for you. But then, you know, and I just wanted to point that point out to you today. Okay? But anyway, that's all I have for you today. Hey, if you like this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and tell people about us. But that's all I have for today, guys. Peace out, and of course, you know, keep it slow.